basically everything below it's going to stop working. All right, guys, so first fundamental is stance. Second fundamental we're going to be talking about is grip, how we actually hold onto the gun and control recoil, okay? So a few key things with grip is, one, we're not squeezing the gun, okay? We're trying to apply proper pressure to prevent recoil. So your two hands are going to do two different things. You have to make sure that they're doing their own jobs, right? I like to think about my right hand, or my strong hand, my firing hand, whatever you'd like to call it, is the gas pedal. My support hand is a suspension, right? This makes the gun go fast. This controls the gun so I can still go fast. So with a clear gun, empty chamber, empty mag well, your right hand or your strong hand, you want to think about, you want that as high up on the grip of the gun as possible, hanging onto the gun, smashing the web of your hand up into the beaver tail, okay? You want your thumb flared out, and your support hand, the thumb rides right along the bottom of the slide on the grip of the gun, wrapping your fingers around, okay? The gap back here in the back of the gun, you want to minimize all that. You want as much of your hand touching the grip of the gun as possible, okay? So once we're there, how we actually apply pressure to the gun is we have to understand what the gun's doing under recoil, right? So the initial explosion goes off, it kicks straight back. The slide goes all the way back, it hits lock back. The path of least resistance for all the energy is up, right? So the gun's gonna come straight back, kick up, the slide's gonna go forward, it's gonna come back down. So the gun is essentially doing this motion, right? So if we were to be able to grab this gun at any point to stop it from doing this, I'd wanna grab it here and here. That way it just doesn't move at all, right? It doesn't go up, it doesn't go backwards. But obviously we can't do that because the slide has to reciprocate. So we have to try to emulate that with our grip. So how I like to think about it is when I grab onto the gun, I'm going to, with my support hand, I'm going to drive my thumb forward to create a locked, strong wrist, okay? What this does is it pulls my pinky towards me at the bottom of the grip, right? So that prevents the gun from kicking up because I'm putting pressure as far away as I can on the bottom of the grip downward. So as it tries to kick up, I'm already putting pressure to keep it flat, okay? Not only that, but my thumb is now pointed, so I know where I am in space and time. I don't have to think about pointing towards that thing, right? I know I'm pointing at it because I'm pointing at it. So your thumb being driven forward creates pressure with the pinky back towards you on the bottom of the grip and points your thumb at whatever you're shooting at, okay? So that twisting motion of pulling the bottom of the grip towards you is keeping the gun from kicking up, right? Now, how we control the rest of the gun is, I like to think about it like you're twisting, right? So as I'm pressing forward, this hand is putting pressure this way towards me, and I'm going to flare my elbows out to put pressure on the top of the gun as close to the slide as possible, right? That way I'm putting pressure on the top of the grip close to the slide and the bottom of the grip to prevent it from kicking up, okay? So as I press out, this hand is torquing the grip towards me, and then my elbows are coming up ever so slightly to put pressure on the top of the gun. So as I come out, I'm torquing this hand down and I'm twisting these arms up to put pressure inward on the gun, okay? Now, that's how I like to understand how to hold on to the gun and apply pressure to prevent recoil. Some other ways are, one is think about your fingertips and your knuckles being like pins and like a nutcracker, right? So as I press out, it's clamping down on the sides of the gun, right? So from here, as I'm pressing out, my fingertips are locked into my knuckles. I'm pressing out and I'm just squeezing onto the sides of the gun, okay? Again, what it's doing is it's applying pressure without squeezing the gun. Because what happens when we squeeze the gun is this is more or less a square or a rectangle, and our hands are round. So as I squeeze this gun, it does not do what I want it to do, right? It starts to move and get off of the target. So a lot of times when you're hitting low left, it's because your hand is squeezing the gun, which is driving it low and left, right? Because our hands are shaped that way, especially when we hold on to something that's a general square-ish, right? So whether it's locking that left hand, pulling the pinky in towards you and raising your elbows up to kind of create that topward pressure and that inward pressure on the bottom of the grip, or you're driving your fingers like pins and using it like a nutcracker to squeeze in on the sides of the gun, all you want to do is make sure that this hand, your left hand, is the one doing all the squeezing and this hand is relaxed, right? Why that is tense muscles can't move quickly. So if I have a tense hand with the hand that's on the trigger and able to fire the gun and move this finger, once it's tense, I need to relax it and then tense it up again, right? So I have to do multiple steps to be able to move the trigger. So what I want is this hand basically more or less relaxed. That way I can move this finger quickly and efficiently, and being able to pay attention to how it's moving, okay? So when I hold on to the gun is in my right hand, just enough to hang on to it. My support hand is the one that's doing all the actual holding onto the gun. Again, this is my throttle pedal, this is my suspension. They can't do each other's jobs, at least not very well, right? So you need to make sure that this hand is really wrenching in and torquing into that gun, and this one is relaxed. That way it can pull the trigger and not induce that low left with squeezing of the hand.